Hello and welcome to the Restricted Area Podcast, where today we talk WNBA semifinals and preview the finals coming up and look at an NBA Southwest Division preview. Uh, Before we get started, just wanted to remind you all that you can hear this podcast a day before you can see it on YouTube if you check out Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or Amazon. But to get you started, I'm your host, Alex Perez, joined by producer Colton Smith and co host Logan Hatfield. How are we doing, fellas?
Doing pretty good and pretty good. It's kind of the peak of sports season, right? We got WNBA wrapping up. We got the NBA getting close. We got MLB playoffs. The Reds aren't going to break my heart tonight, right, Logan? They aren't.
Absolutely not, man. Zach Littell's throwing a perfect game.
Yeah, NFL. We don't talk about. I've been a Colts fan this entire time, right, guys? Like, I never,
I'm having
Yeah,
a good
yeah.
time.
never,
I'm having a good
never,
time.
never claimed. Yeah, I'm sure you are, Mr. Steelers fan. But yeah, it's a great time. College football ramping up. Plan on going to the UC game Saturday with Josh. So
Hey, there you go.
yeah, pretty pumped for that. And yeah, just a great time to be a sports fan. Not
Yeah,
a
for
Bengals
sure.
fan, but a sports fan.
There you go.
Logan, how you doing?
I'm doing pretty good. Doing pretty good. Still chilling here in beautiful Connecticut. Hanging out, vibing, getting my work done. Got a couple more weeks here, and then it's back to Memphis for a little bit.
Fair enough. Yeah, I've had a pretty few uneventful days until yesterday when the whole WNBA basically blew up. So that was fun, but we will get into that for sure. If you all are ready to get started, we'll go ahead and get into these semifinals recaps where Phoenix beat Minnesota in four and Las Vegas defeated Indiana in five. So, what stood out from the semifinals to you all? Logan, I'll go to you first.
My mid-season prediction about the Phoenix Mercury still remains possible. It's like I mean it's the power of friendship, right? It's how the Reds made the playoffs, and now it's how the Mercury have a chance to bring home a title. It's awesome to me personally. I wrote in my notes shocked, but not that shocked because I did kind of call this a long time ago. I just didn't really think it was possible now. But yeah, the absolute titan that was the Minnesota Lynx this year was slain in the semifinals by Phoenix. So shout out to them. And then also shout out to the Aces for making my current prediction still possible. I'm doing pretty good in the prediction aspect of things right now. I believe I also made the Aces my no, I think I can't remember who I picked as my preseason title pick, but either way, my predictions right now are looking good. Aces Fever was a great series, by the way, the best of the playoffs so far, in my opinion. Some good, enjoyable basketball being played there. But yeah, I'm excited for this finals. I don't think it was the finals many people expected, but it's the finals we got, and I'm excited to see what goes on.
Golden.
Yeah, if you would have told me this was the finals, even like before the month of August, like I would have called you insane. But here we are. It is in fact the Aces versus the Mercury. After the Mercury uh, have one of the biggest upsets, I would say, in WNBA history. You mentioned Logan, surprised but not surprised. Like you knew the team was there, but didn't necessarily see it all coming together. But it happened, and we had this Lynx team in talks for one of the best teams in league history. Just a month or so ago, and now they're out in the semifinals once again, falling short of the title. Um, Three straight from the Mercury to win in 4 games. Alyssa Thomas, Sato Sabali, and Kayla Cooper averaged a combined 55 of the team's 82-point average throughout the season. The Lynx were the best offensive rated team in the entire league. They went from 112 to 100 in this series. And, they kept it close, the Lynx did, but they were kind of playing the Mercury's game as opposed to playing Lynx basketball. And Mercury were better at their own game, unsurprisingly. So that's really my biggest takeaway. I mean, the Fever Aces was an outstanding series, but it ended the way I expected. The Aces came out on top in the end. Unfortunate to us Fever fans, but I'm not too butthurt as it does keep my prediction preseason prediction of the Aces winning alive.
Yeah, I went into Game 5 yesterday saying I would just be happy it was a great season. They overcame the
Just happened
odds.
to
It
be
was
here, right?
miraculous. Yeah. And still, as that buzzer sounded in overtime, was pretty upset. But shout out to Indiana. That's my major storyline. They did a heck of a job this whole season putting the pieces back together, basically, of a very injured team. One game won by 16, held Asia to 16 points on 6 of 22 shooting the night that she was crowned with her fourth MVP, rightfully so, or not, who's to say. Lost game 2 by 22 after a 24-6 bench difference and 22 turnovers. That inexperience kind of showed there in game 2. Lost game 3 by 12 after all the air was kind of taken out of the arena. I don't know if you all watched that game, but Chelsea Gray had a full court pass at the end of the third quarter that kind of took all the steam and momentum from the Fever, even though it was still close at that point. They went on to not score their next bucket in the fourth quarter until like 2 minutes left to go. So, again, all the steam was kind of taken out. And then one game 4, 90-83 after 34 free throws. Some people were not happy. We can have a discussion about that. 13 from Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell with 25. And obviously lose game 5, 107-98 in overtime after refusing to go away despite Kelsey Mitchell going down with apparently a very scary injury that could have been fatal. So shout out to the Indiana team for responding to that quickly and in the best way possible. And after AB fouled out in the fourth quarter on a play that I feel like should not be called a foul at that moment. Odyssey Sims with 27, but Asia Wilson, of course, 35 points, 4 blocks, 4 steals, continues to be who she is. And Jackie Young, phenomenal in the series. Her and Dana Evans were kind of the X factors here. Jackie Young with 32 points and 10 assists. So great series by the Aces. Do they deserve more free throws? No, Asia already has enough. The numbers support that. But shout out to Indiana for all they were able to do, coming 5 minutes away from making the finals despite everything that went wrong this year.
Yeah, makes me wonder what happens next year if they can just stay somewhat healthy. I mean, it's kind of an obvious take, but it's a real one.
Yeah, Sophie Cunningham already announced that she's coming back, so that's big time. When will she be healthy in the season? We'll see, but that's still big time to have that commitment already there.
I just don't run from the Dallas Wings when they are making it this far next year. I'm gonna say, don't run.
If they go get
Don't
Sandy
run.
Brondello, I don't think you're wrong, honestly. But
I'm
anyways,
deep in Paige Becker's country right now, so she's
yeah,
got a lot of
I
fans
don't.
up here.
I obviously don't think it was a coincidence that they fired Conclaves after Brondello was let go. Don't think that was a coincidence. Maybe the expansion teams go get her, but if Dallas is smart, they'll go get her. But anyways, the big storyline, as we all know from yesterday, Nafisa Collier went scorched earth on the WNBA and Commissioner Kathy Engelbert, saying they don't care about officiating or the product on the floor. There's a lack of accountability from the heads of the league, and also allegedly, so we don't get fined or anything, Kathy said only losers complain about refs, and also said players should be on their knees thanking her for the media deal that she was able to secure for them and their league. And then went on to say Caitlin Clark only has endorsements because of the WNBA. I don't have words for the things that, if she said these, she should be on her way out yesterday. But anyways, let's have a little discussion.
How did she even
Colton,
get in there
thoughts?
in the first place is my question. Like, how? Like, can you imagine? And I hate to be that guy that always compares it to the NBA, but just imagine you compare it to any sport. Like, if LeBron James in year 2, if Donald Stern said that, like, or David Stern, not Donald Stern. Who am I talking about?
Whoa, you're bringing up something else there.
Yeah, that was a different quote.
Yeah,
But like
Mr. Sterling said something different, but go ahead.
yeah. No, but just like imagine if you said that about LeBron James, and not that Caitlin Clark is confirmed to be LeBron James, but she's going to be pretty close to the WNBA equivalent, and at least in impact, I would say she's there. You can go sport to sport saying, just imagine somebody saying that. Like, I don't doubt that commissioners say a lot of things behind closed doors that never see the light of day that could be to that level. However, saying that to a player about another player, if I understand it correctly, is mind-boggling to me and shows just how out of touch with reality they truly are. And that's really all I have to say. It's just it couldn't be me.
Logan.
Yeah, when I first saw all this, I was like, I thought I got sentled. I really did, because I didn't think it was real. I didn't think that Kathy would say something like that. But here we are. I cannot believe it. To be so utterly disrespectful to two of the best stars in the league, and if they're complaining about the product that they are actively participating in, maybe it's time to listen, right? And not only that, but to specifically call out Caitlin Clark, that's just displaying the jealousy that I feel like a lot of the older, some of the old heads of the WNBA were already displaying in the past, and it's kind of rearing its ugly head once again. And it's like we were talking about before we started recording. Jealousy is one hell of a disease. I honestly, it's just shocking to me for her to say that about Caitlin Clark and how she wouldn't have those deals. Caitlin Clark had those deals at Iowa.
Yeah.
She was showing up in an Iowa jersey in State Farm commercials. She didn't need the WNBA for that. And that's not any disrespect to the WNBA, but that's just respect to Caitlin Clark, that she was already doing that before she had this elevated platform. Her platform was already elevated. When you start shooting 40-foot jumpers in college basketball games, yeah, I mean you're gonna get the platform you need. But I just think it's wildly disrespectful and extremely immature for a commissioner of a professional sports league to do something like this. Like, this is something you would expect out of Rob Manfred, right? Like, this isn't something you'd expect. I don't know. I mean, if this were to happen in any other league, kind of like you said, Cole, I mean, you just don't see something like this. It's hard for me to believe.
It's just incredibly tone deaf, honestly, from the top of the league, which is really sad to say. The physical play is something that caught my eye when I first started watching the WNBA, but it's escalated to a point to where it obviously needs to be fixed. Napheesa Collier going out against the Mercury with an obvious foul that was not called, that almost broke her leg, it seemed like. And then anybody who talked out about that either got fined or suspended. So that's more of a regime than it is a organization or franchise. But that's why Napheesa went out. That's why the Fever were down 5-6 players and so much more by the end of it. It's really sad to see that they are not taking this seriously. And who knows, Unrivaled may take it a little more seriously and challenge the WNBA for the title there of best league for women's sports. They're definitely already doing that on the money side, but that is a conversation for another day as well. But we will go ahead and look at these finals where they are set. It is Aces versus Mercury. So, Colton, who you got? What you expecting?
I expect this to be a dogfight. The first best of 7 series, I think could legitimately go 7 games here. And I think I'll be obvious with it. I'm sticking with the Aces. It was my preseason. It was my postseason prediction. So I'm sticking with the Aces here, but I can't discount the Mercury and what they've done. They are very good at making you play their basketball, but I feel like the Aces are also a team that plays that physical, not necessarily high scoring type basketball. So I think it's really two teams that have some similarities I think will make for a really back and forth, interesting finals. A'ja Wilson might drop 40 a game. Who knows? It's A'ja Wilson. So Yeah, it's going to be fun, and I do really think we could see a 7-game series here just in the first year of it being possible. So, which is what the WNBA needs. What we love to see.
Logan.
Logan.
Sorry, I think it froze for a second.
Oh,
Didn't hear it.
okay.
Yeah, it froze for a second. I didn't hear. I think my winner is also going to be the Aces. And like Colton said, I'm so excited for this to be a 7-game series because, like he said, it could legitimately go 7 games. However, I have Aces in 6. I think that the Aces are going to be just a little bit too much for the Mercury, but I think like you said, it's going to be a dogfight. It's going to be a fun series. I can't wait to see what happens. But if we're being honest, it's A'ja Wilson. It's the finals. Like I think we know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I have the Aces in 6 because I don't see the Aces going into Phoenix and winning a Game 7 if it came down to that, especially with, again, how the game is being officiated now. But really excited to see A'ja and Alyssa Thomas get in a fist fight every game. That's going to be a joy to see. I can't wait for that. But seriously, 2 great defenses. These are going to be like low-scoring games of the 90s, which I'm really excited for. They say defense wins championships, and this shows it right here. But I don't think either bench really is that exceptionally special. So I think it really will be a battle of the stars. And the Phoenix has probably the best big 3, but Las Vegas has A'ja Wilson. And they also have guards who have elevated their play in the playoffs. Jackie Young has been insane. Chelsea Gray has been pretty good. And Joel Lloyd has come out of her I was going to say retirement, not retirement. Rust. There we go.
Yeah.
But Kalia Copper is good. Satu Sabli are very good. They had a very good series in the semifinals, but the Aces are just too much. I think it showed that way in overtime when they have to play their best, they're going to. So I got the Aces in 6, and I would be mad, but it's kind of nice to see. We're basically living through Michael Jordan in the WNBA, so it's pretty cool to see.
Can't argue with that. Can't argue with that.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's such a cool spectacle.
For sure. But we will skip Fowler Flop for this week and go on ahead to our NBA Southwest Division preview. And Colton, I believe you have the first team with the Pelicans, so go right ahead.
Yeah, the Pelicans had an outstanding season last season. I think 21 wins was the final tally. But they had a pretty interesting offseason. I don't know if it's good or bad yet, but they made some moves for sure. They got rid of or lost C.J. McCollum, Kelly Olynyk, Bruce Brown, Antonio Reeves. Just figure I'd throw that in there for you guys. Keon Brooks Jr., Jeremiah Robinson Earl, Elfrid Payton, not my goat, Elfrid Payton. Jamal Cain and Brandon Boston Jr., who I didn't even realize he was on the team, but shout out for him for sticking around. Remember that guy. They added Jordan Poole, Kevon Looney, Saddiq Bey, Micah Peavy. That was their draft pick in the second round. Bryce McGowens, Jaden Springer, and Jalen McDaniels. They also drafted with the 7th overall pick Jeremiah Fears out of Oklahoma, Derek Queen out of Maryland. I mentioned Peavy out of Georgetown. Looking at their lineup, I would project their starting lineup to be with DeJounte Murray out until January was what I was reading. Jose Alvarado, Jordan Poole, Trey Murphy the third, Zion at the 4, and then maybe Yves Missy or Kevon Looney, depending upon how he fits with the team. You could also, there has been talks, I think they briefly did it last season. I'm not sure. I didn't watch too much Pelicans basketball, to be honest, but Zion may be playing the 5. I don't like that defensively at all, but I do think it's an idea they've had in New Orleans in the past. But yeah, so that's, I do kind of like this depth. If you have Herb Jones at the 6, he can slot in at the 3. Him and Trey Murphy are really interchangeable depending upon your matchup. If you want a more defensive lineup, I don't think Murphy's really that much of a slouch on defense himself, but Herb Jones is all defensive level. Jordan Hawkins is a nice bench piece. Jalen McDaniels, I think, is a really great pickup. Not as good as his brother, but still a really good basketball player. And who knows what to expect from Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen. they could find themselves in the rotation early. I'm not sold on their fits with the team. Fears, I'm a little more sold on than Queen, but they're two talented players that I think can most certainly make a career in the NBA. Talking about the best part of this team, it's simply Zion. We know what the ifs are about Zion, but when Zion is at his best, he's unstoppable. He's a world destroyer. Like he's absolutely insane. We just haven't seen that consistently enough. We have seen the top 10 player in the NBA, Zion, before, but he hasn't done it long enough to be that top 10 player. Could this be the year? I'm not one to typically buy stock in off-season or training camp photos. However, that is the most fit I have seen Zion look in his entire life. So that's a good sign. That's a good sign for sure. And I would love to see him finally take that step, play 70 to 80 games. I'm not even asking for a full season, Zion, but play a long season, lead this team probably to the play-in. I mean, who knows? If everybody plays to their best ability, this could end up being a much better team. But just stay healthy, Zion. I would love to see that. Trey Murphy III is also an absolute bucket getter. And Jordan Poole, could he fit? I think he could. He's not being the number one option. So long as Zion is on the court, I think he could be a really good fit around him as long as he buys into the system. But something that the team needs to buy into is also the worst part of the team that I put is their defense. They were just downright terrible on that side of the ball, allowing an average of 119 points per game. That wasn't the worst, but that's still not very good. But it's a good thing they added Jordan Poole to clean that up.
Logan.
I love how I put that in my notes to make sure I made that. But it's kind of weird, though, because they actually have two really good defenders in Herb Jones and Jose Alvarado. I think Jalen McDaniels could be a pretty good defender. I think they got a lot of guys who can play good defense. They just need to do so. And Willie Green had them playing good defense, 23, 24, I would say. They were top 10 defensively. So the pieces are there. It would definitely help if DeJounte Murray comes back and he can at least aid this team defensively. So a lot of that could also just play into we're not winning games. They were really not just Zion, injury riddled throughout. So that can really play into a lot of the defensive struggles, especially the winning part. So if Zion can stay healthy, this team can see the light, play better defense, just be average too. If you can get back to top 10, that'd be awesome as well. I could see them snagging a playoff spot with about 40 or so wins, 42, right around 500. I could also just as easily see a collapse to 25 to 20 wins. But I'm a little more hopeful. I'm on the more hopeful side of that.
Logan?
Yeah, I'm super excited about this Pelicans youth movement. Some of these young players are super exciting, like Jeremiah Fears and Derek Queen. I cannot wait to see Jeremiah Fears throw Derek Queen a lob. I think that's going to be awesome. And Slim Zion is a phenomenon in its own right. I think if he can maintain his health and keep this up, I mean, he's going to be an all-star this year. We saw what Zion was when he was healthy, and we know what Zion is. Like he can be. I would be willing to say all NBA if he stays healthy the entire year. I agree. Because of the role he's going to have in this Pelicans offense as the primary scorer. I mean, outside of Jordan Poole, I don't know if there's going to be a lot of scoring coming from this starting five here. So Zion Williamson is going to have to carry the load there. And one thing I'm a bit nervous about is Grand Theft Alvarado falling out of the rotation. I think it's a legitimate possibility with the backcourt depth that the Pelicans have built up, including players like Jordan Poole and Jeremiah Fears and Jordan Hawkins. Jordan Hawkins, I think, is due to break out. And what's going to happen when DeJounte Murray comes back? Just buried even further in the depth chart. So I think Jose Alvarado is going to be on the trade block this year. And for a team that's looking for a chippy defensive guard, I think that the Pelicans are going to be shopping him, and that if the return is right, I think Jose Alvarado could get in a better fit. But I'm nervous because he's one of my favorite players to watch when he kind of sneaks up and takes the ball from behind the ball carrier, bringing it up. But I do think that he might be falling out of favor just because of the offensive production that some of these other guys can produce.
Yeah, I would agree on that.
For sure. My biggest takeaway was, please God, Zion be healthy. Uh, he's just one of the best things to watch in the NBA when he's fully healthy. Uh, but does the front court really make sense? Because I'm looking at Zion, Derek Queen, Hunter Dickinson, and Kevon Looney. That's
Yeah, I forgot
negative
about him.
shooting. I don't really know where the scoring comes from, besides Zion dunking on everybody. Uh, there's not much shooting there whatsoever. Now the guards, as we have all gushed about, really excited about that. Poole, Sadiq Bey. I don't think we've mentioned much, but I'm excited to
I
see what he
meant to
does
say him. Yeah.
defensively, as well as provide some offense. Jeremiah Fears, Herb Jones. I forgot Dejounte Murray was hurt, so that will give them a little more space for all these people because they have a large rotation of guards now. Not to
Mhm.
mention Murphy. I mean, you could run him at the three as well, as we've talked about, but they've got a lot of guys. They might have to run a little small this year, which I'm sure they're fine with as long as they can play great defense or score a lot of points. One of the two. I'm sure they're going to be able to do either one. But which pieces are they looking to trade? Because I don't think they're going to have all these people by the trade deadline. That is way too many guards to try to find minutes for, especially with the talent that they have. So I think somebody's getting shopped, and maybe Alvarado. Alvarado didn't even make my list, which I'm ashamed. Apparently, I don't know ball. But yeah, the guard rotation in New Orleans is very deep. I'm excited to see who stays, who goes, and who plays the best because they may have the best guard rotation in the league, honestly. And then next up is the Spurs. I have them. Last season they were 34 and 48, which amounted to 13th in the West. Offseason ads include Luke Cornett, and they re-signed Bismack Biyombo, so great help around Giannis. And they lost Chris Paul, but I think they're okay with that because their draft picks were Dylan Harper and Carter Bryant. So very dynamic pieces there. Best part of the team, I would say, is the guard rotation is so strong with Fox, Harper, and the other people they have there. And then the worst part is the front court scoring. I love the defensive pieces they put around Giannis. I mean, not Giannis, Wemby, but
Same difference.
where do they score? Where do those players score? Because
You don't
I'm
think
very
Harrison
confused about.
Barnes is gonna score?
Well, I'm looking at him more of as like a three, but yeah, maybe the same problem with him. But the starters I'm looking at, I have Fox, Castle, Harper, Sohan, and Wimby. Does Sohan still start? I don't know, but I feel like they'll at least give him that starting role to start the season since they did last year. But obviously, they played most of the last season without Wimby. I think it was like half the season. So they're going to end up much better than 13th. But that is pretty much all I got for the Spurs.
Yeah, I like what you have to say about the Spurs. I do. I don't know if they're going to start Dylan Harper right away. They might let him get some reps off the bench. I think Devin Vassell is going to be in the starting lineup, and then that power forward is going to be a toss up. I think they might try out a lot of different players there. Like Shohan probably will get some run there, but I also think Harrison Barnes is going to slide in there one way or another. Somehow Harrison Barnes always comes crawling back to an NBA lineup. I don't know how it's possible. And you can't forget about Olympic gold medalist Keldon Johnson. Uh, I think he's kind of been buried. I feel kind of bad because he showed a lot of promise early on, but just with the amount of young talent that San Antonio is stockpiling right now, Keldon Johnson's kind of lost his rotational spot. But this team that they're putting around Wemby, I think they are quite literally constructing it to be Wemby's team. And I think all the pieces are starting to come together. I don't think it's all the way together yet, but like you said, Alex, the improvement is going to be there this year. I think they take a legitimate step towards a possible play-in spot.
I was going to kind of make the point. Keldon Johnson. It's kind of hard not to forget him, though. It's sad because I think he showed so much promise early on in his Spurs days, but he's just fallen out of favor in this rotation. So I bring the question: do you think this is going to be a season that we see a Keldon Johnson get moved or a Devin Vassell get moved two players that I think are really, really good, but maybe just don't fit the timeline of this team. Or, I would say the timeline of this team. Do you guys see that happening at all?
Logan?
Yeah, it's definitely possible. I think that there's a couple players now on this team that could get moved. Like, obviously, I think their number one trade candidate is going to be Harrison Barnes. I don't think that Harrison Barnes definitely doesn't fit the timeline. A good veteran presence and someone who's been there a while, but I think they're going to pull what happened to him in the past and maybe trade him during a game. That was one of the craziest things I've ever seen happen. But I do think a guy like Keldon Johnson could also get moved because I still think he does have a lot of potential, and teams know what they're getting out of him. He was coached by one of the best to ever do it for a while, so it's not like he hasn't got the proper coaching. I think Keldon Johnson could fit in a lot of different systems, but I think Keldon Johnson, Harrison Barnes, and even possibly Devin Vassell could get moved to create more chances for Dylan Harper. Dylan Harper, I think, fits in with his team well and is going to be a great addition to the lineup, and I think he's going to play well next to Wemby.
Also, do we not talk about Luke Cornett yet? I mean, come on, that's a huge offseason signing right there.
I did say that. I said
feel
Luke
like-
Cornett and Biyombo. Yeah.
Oh, I heard the Biyombo and I was like, oh, I forgot they got Biyombo, and then I just glossed over Cornett, I guess.
Yeah, good solid defensive piece next to Wemby. Again, don't know how much scoring he's going to do, but to answer your question, if I see any of those players getting traded, it's Keldon Johnson because I feel like he's the easiest to move. I feel like they may think they should get too much for Vassell or anybody or Harrison Barnes. So I feel like Keldon Johnson would be the easiest player to move on from. So I could see that happening for sure. And then up next, we have the Dallas Mavericks. Logan, you want to take that?
Yeah, so after the Dallas Mavericks last year go 39-43 and finished 10th in the Western Conference before winning their initial play-in game by a score of 120-106, and then they lost their next play-in game also by a score of 120-106. Very interesting fact I just learned. If I had to guess, they're the first play-in team to ever lose and win by the same score. But that's enough about last year. Dallas has made some interesting moves. They had a pretty under-the-radar offseason. You didn't see a whole lot out of Dallas because they drafted Cooper Flag, right? They shipped off Luka, and they got their prize for it. So drafting Cooper Flag is exciting for this team for many reasons, but they also made a fairly under-the-radar addition of signing D'Angelo Russell. I think that's a solid piece. At this point in D'Angelo Russell's career, I don't know exactly what you're going to get out of him, but I think it's a solid veteran presence. It's a little stopgap for Kyrie. And that kind of brings up one of my negatives about this roster, because right now, this team, the starting lineup looks something like Russell, Clay, Cooper Flag, Anthony Davis, and Derek Lively. This looks like it could be a fun squad. It has some potential, and their front court depth is very good, having Daniel Gafford and PJ Washington coming off the bench, and Najee Marshall I think is a great piece for them as well. But that backcourt depth is like kind of hard to look at. With no Kyrie Irving, your backup guards are Dante Exum and Max Christie. I don't know about
that's a
all
generational piece in that Luka Doncic trade. Come on.
Well,
Yeah,
Lakers
right.
legend.
The most important piece of the trade.
Yeah.
I think Max Christie has some solid potential, and he's going to get the chance to show it off this year. But any team whose backup point guard is Dante Exum is not exactly getting good guard play off the bench. Dante Exum was supposed to be something, but he never became anything. And now they got D'Angelo Russell bringing the ball up the court. So, what's up, Cole?
Dante Exum did get a commercial though, an Adidas commercial.
Yes, I remember that. So did Emmanuel Mudiay. So,
exactly, like two absolute legends. Not many NBA players have commercials.
It's time for us to get one, fellas.
Yeah, we need.
when's our turn? But no, in all seriousness, I think that pretty much everything about this team is going to be centered around that front court. That guard play, like you got Klay Thompson, who's going to sit and catch and shoot, and D'Angelo Russell, who God knows what he's going to do. If I'm being honest, every time he gets to a new team, I just never you never know what to expect from D'Lo. This ain't first stint Brooklyn Nets D'Lo anymore, unfortunately. But I really am excited to see what Cooper Flag can do next to Anthony Davis. I think that is going to spread the floor so well and provide a new layer of offense. And this team, if and when Kyrie Irving comes back, is my biggest contingency on whether they can make a little playoff run or if they're going to flame out at the end of the year. I think depending on the health of Kyrie Irving and when he comes back, this team could be anywhere from the 6th seed all the way to like the 11th seed. I think there's such a wide range of outcomes for this team. And I think that this is just a really important development year for them. They kind of had a bit of an off year last year. And I think that this is just like a stepping stone year where, they may not be fully healthy, but there's going to be pieces that get chances to prove themselves. And maybe they're kind of punting to next year, I think. But I think it's going to be a fun squad. The offense should be exciting with the addition of Cooper Flag, but I wouldn't expect them to do too much past maybe a first round upset, but I doubt it.
Cool.
I mean, I feel like Logan really, really said it all. All the thoughts I really had. I would just agree with the sentiment that I feel the season doesn't really start until Kyrie gets there, and it really revolves around how well is Kyrie when he comes back? How quickly does he get back up to speed? Will Anthony Davis stay healthy? I'm sure Alex can give me some insight on that. I think that's really what the biggest, the difference between them being just a fun team to watch and making a legitimate playoff run. And that's supposedly what they were supposed to be doing already, because this was such a huge move, right? This was the defensive what's the word? Renaissance that Nico saw. So not quite. I'm not seeing that, but Nico knows more than me. So apparently, allegedly, I don't think so.
Let's not get ahead of ourselves.
I again just want to say thank you to the Dallas Mavericks organization and all they do. They are doing great things over there. But yeah, I don't know if does Kyrie come back, because where are they when he's available to come back?
Great point.
Because if you're not in playoff contention, why even come back? Just keep building for the future. And two things I want to hit on real quick. AD probably stays healthy, but he also has to wear glasses now for the rest of his career. So does that affect his play? Maybe not, but that's something new to deal with on your face while you're playing. So it's like playing in a mask. Maybe a little tougher for some people. Maybe not, but it's something to think about. What a beast. D'Angelo Russell, you're going to get great offense half the season, and you're going to get great defense none of the season. So it's going to be a great party, and for all fans who love D'Angelo Russell. He's going to be great for this offense. It's going to be fun to watch. They'll probably score a decent amount when D'Lo's having those good games, but it's going to be rough the games that he's not, because where else is the offense coming from? So, yeah, fun time in Dallas right now. Again, so thankful for each and everything they've done for the NBA. Congratulations on Cooper Flag.
You can get a statue in LA.
We will move on now to the Memphis Grizzlies, who were second in the Southwest last season with a record of 48-34, which was only good enough for 8th in the West. I know we talked about the Magic last season being the top of theirs last week, and it was not a record anywhere close to 48-34. So congratulations to the West. It keeps getting tougher.
They're fine in the West, though.
Yeah. They were
so fine in the
by
West.
OKC in the first round. Off-season ads for the Grizzlies include KCP, Cole Anthony, Jock Landale, and Ty Jerome. Some very solid pieces I'm excited to see how they mesh with the team. They're all defensive-minded, and obviously that's exactly kind of where the Memphis Grizzlies get their calling card. So I'm excited to see how they kind of mesh right in. Off-season losses: Desmond Bain, Jay Huff, Luke Kennard, all tough losses. Jay Huff probably the most, as we all know. And then draft pick Cedric Coward, Javon Small, and Jamal Meshack. Again, more pieces that are providing defense, which is good, which is something they need. The best part of this team, again, the defense. It'll kind of look like the 90s for any Memphis Grizzlies game. They're going to make it ugly, and it's going to be low scoring. The worst part, the non-Ja Morant minutes. I don't know where the scoring is coming from because might be a little rough on that end. You all may think differently. I don't. The starters I have are Ja, KCP, uh, G Jackson, JJ, and Edie. And then the backups, Ty Jerome, Pippen Jr., Brandon Clark, Santi Aldama, getting major minutes off the bench. I think it's a deep squad. Don't know if it's the most offensive squad, but maybe the best defensive one in the league if everybody can stay healthy, because I think that's a big if with all these names on the roster as well. But it's going to be a fun, low-scoring season in Memphis.
Yeah, health would be my biggest concern. I mean, you can probably point to any NBA team and say that really, but it's been an issue for Memphis throughout. And then, as you said, if heaven forbid, if Ja gets hurt or just isn't on the court, like what happens there? Like Ty Jerome, good scorer, sure, not necessarily a guy I would want to rely on offensively. So it's going to look like the 90s. It's going to be somewhat reminiscent of the grit and grind days. And let's go Zach Edey.
Logan?
Yeah, the hometown team. It's my new home team.
Real.
I'm already planning on going to a couple games, so I'm excited to see the guys. I think I'm going to stop by when I'm in town when the Rockets and Lakers come to town. So I might have a couple cool games to go see there. But this team, I think the addition of Ty Jerome is good, but I think Ty Jerome also benefited a ton from playing for the Cavs. I don't think that gets talked about enough. I think his production is going to look different in Memphis just because of the style of basketball that gets played in Memphis. I think Ty Jerome was like cookie cutter designed to play for that Cavaliers team. I don't know if you're going to get that same level of production for this Grizzlies team. However, I do think it was a good move, and I'm excited to see what Jalen Wells does this year. I'm a big fan of Jalen Wells' game, and I'm excited to see the step he takes this season. And also, I think Cedric Coward is one of the most underrated draft picks of the last draft. I think he's going to be able to make an instant impact off the bench for the Grizzlies, who I think are going to be a fun squad. I think, it's like you said, it's going to be a lot of those, defensive-minded games. But I think that's their game, and if that's what it's going to take to get them some wins, I don't know if it's going to do anything for them in the playoffs, but I think that this team is going to be interesting. I don't know. I can't really get a real read on them, though.
Agreed.
All right. Well, the last one we have are the biggest names, I guess, in this offseason, the Houston Rockets. Colton, take it away.
Yeah, they definitely had one of the loudest off seasons this offseason. They lost Dylan Brooks, N'Faly Dante, Jalen Green, Jock Landale, Cam Whitmore, and then they got Clint Capella, big pickup there, some guy named Kevin Durant, Dorian Finney-Smith, who is injured to start the year, I believe, based on what I read, and Josh Okogie. They just recently signed him. They re-signed also Steven Adams, Jeff Green, Aaron Holiday, Jabari Smith Jr. got an extension, Jashawn Tate, and Fred VanVleet, who unfortunately will be missing the entire season, which puts a big wrench in the preview for this team. Do I think it's over? No, but I think it gets a lot more tricky for the Rockets to really reach their full potential. Looking at their lineup, I got Amen Thompson at the 1. They said they're going to do like a committee thing, so you could put Reed Shepherd there. Is this where we get the real full point center in Alperen Şengün? Maybe. But yeah, I got Amen at the 1, Reed Shepherd or Josh Okogie at the 2, Jabari Smith Jr. at the 3, KD at the 4, Şengün at the 5, and then Clint Capella and Steven Adams are good backups there. And then Dorian Finney-Smith can kind of slot in wherever, good backup piece for sure. Alex can tell him about that, but outside of that, I'm not sold. There's a lot of questions. I'll get in that in a second. The best part of this team, though, is the star talent. It remains to be seen how KD will fit around. But Şengün is a dog, and then Thompson is a dog, and they play well together, mostly. KD, still got to see how, but talent-wise, it's there for this team. And I'll add a little secondly best is the defense, which was ranked 4th in the league last season. Dylan Brooks, was really the only major loss I see on that side of the ball. I could see the loss of depth kind of playing a role in maybe the defense not being as good, but I still think especially looking at your coach, Ime Udoka, I think they will maintain their identity, and I don't think the offense can really get any worse there with the addition of KD. So I like that. The worst, though, I will circle back to the depth, because I think this team could be deeper than meets the eye, but it'll take some players stepping up. Jabari Smith needs to play up to his draft selection. This is the year for that. Reed Sheppard has a great opportunity now that Van Vliet is out of the picture, but we haven't seen him do it yet. I think he's got it in him. I'm sure you guys see it the same way. And then Deshaun Tate, I got to mention him. He's been a good role player for this team in the past, but he had fallen out of favor. But now he's stuck around with all the trades and moves and injuries. So this could be his year to kind of regain that, 7th, 8th man in the rotation role. And how about Jeff Green, 39 years young? I just want to remind you that he is still kicking in the NBA. I think 55 wins is a reasonable high for this team. Maybe it's a little lower now that I did make that figure when I thought Fred VanVleet was still playing. But I think if things don't work out, they could legitimately fall to 42 wins, around 500 if it goes terribly, terribly wrong. But I really see it just being somewhere in between, probably around that 50-win mark, if I had to guess below it. But that's what I got on the Houston Rockets.
Logan, have you heard of KD?
Yeah, in some capacities. It's not like there used to be a life-sized sticker of him on my wall, and I didn't buy 3 pairs of his shoes and own 4 different jerseys of his. And but that's besides the point. He is, he's my favorite player ever, so I'm always going to have love for him. But I'm looking at this roster. I see Kevin Durant. I see Steven Adams. For the love of God, go sign Russell Westbrook. Please make my day. Oh my gosh, I think I would tear up. I already teared up looking at a picture of Durant and Adams. You put Westbrook there, I don't know. It would be a weird flashback for me.
What about Nick Collins?
No, Nick Collison, you mean?
Collison, yeah. My fault.
Yeah. No, I think Jeff Green being there too. Shout out to the last 2 remaining Supersonics for being on the same team together. That's pretty cool. But yeah, I think that this team is, and as much as it's scary it is for me to say this because I bought his jersey, but this team is contingent on Reed Sheppard and what he does this year. If they decide to start him at the 1, they're going to have him controlling the offense, which is insane to believe that, they drafted him and then just buried him in the bench. And now all of a sudden he is probably going to be one of the more important pieces on the offense. We know what he can do when he gets the chance. They sent him down to the G League and he dropped 45 and then came back up and didn't play again. So I think it's a really good opportunity for him. Reed Sheppard's one of my favorite players. He's a Kentucky guy from the state. I'm always going to root for him. I'm a bit of a homer, but I think that the Rockets' make or break point is going to be him. If he steps up and plays well, this Rockets team can make some noise. If he doesn't, those guards are starting to because I can't really see Josh Okogie or Aaron Holiday picking up the slack there. So I think Reed Sheppard is my major question mark, and just because they didn't give him a big enough role last year is what concerns me.
Yeah, the guards altogether are my major question mark. As you said, Reed Sheppard was on a very short leash anytime he got minutes in the games last season. And Amen Thompson can be good. Just don't know if I want him being my point guard per se. So it's a little tough there. But Şengün, Adams, Capella, and Durant is a nasty front court rotation. So that'll be fun to watch. And then when Dorian Finney-Smith does come back, do they start him over Jabari? I don't know now that they have signed Jabari to so much money. But I have obviously been on record in saying you can't really be a serious title contending team if you start Jabari Smith Jr. Maybe he takes the leap this year, but I don't see it happening, fellas. Dorian Finney-Smith can be a solid role player who you're not going to have to pay too much money, and you can slide into that 3 spot if you need to. He shoots really well. And really, what else are you going to need on this Rockets team that has a lot of defense and could use some shooting besides a guy who can sit in a corner or behind the 3-point line, really from anywhere, and shoot it at a 40% clip. So I hope he gets the starting role once he comes back. Will the Rockets make that decision? Probably not. Again, with the money tied up with Jabari, but a lot of questions right here. But Kevin Durant may be the major band-aid, so everything might be all right in Houston.
No problems in Houston, huh?
Houston, we have a Durant.
And that will do it for our Southwest Division preview. Now it's time to pick our shooting star, where we pick our baller of the week. I'll go first. Mine, of course, is the Indiana Fever. Just want to be able to gush over them a little bit more. Despite being down 6 players, we're only 1 overtime away from the finals. Commissioner Cup champs, back-to-back playoffs for the first time since 2016. First semi since 2015. Most regular season wins in franchise history, and a franchise high in road wins. So just incredible stuff they were able to continue to do despite being down their whole team. I hope everybody is signed next year, comes back healthy, and this will be a prohibitive favorite for the championship next year. Colton, who you got?
I got Alyssa Thomas as my baller of the week. 20 points, 8.3 rebounds, 9.5 assists, along with 2.5 steals. I mean, just filling up the stat sheet as she always does, and was a part of the big 3 that led this team to the finals. And yeah, just an impressive week, impressive playoffs, and impressive season from Thomas in her first year with the Phoenix, or with Phoenix, not the Phoenix.
Logan.
My shooting star of the week. I don't usually make picks like this. I usually look at stats and, do stuff to, actually quantify my choice. But this time around, I'm giving it to Seth Curry for being able to secure an NBA contract in the year 2025. Props to my guy and props to nepotism. Little honorable mention. It's about a month late, but shout out to Nasas Antetokounmpo for also getting back into the league. Inking another 1-year deal with the Milwaukee Bucks. Nepotism is awesome and needs to continue more.
I'm a little more excited about Seth than I am Thanasis, but
the actual Splash Bros.
Yeah, that's super cool. Can't wait to see how that's the only good thing about that team this year. But anyways, if nobody else has anything else, that will do it for this episode of the Restricted Area Podcast. Thanks to Colton and Logan for being on the show. Subscribe to the show's YouTube at CX Restricted Area. Follow the CX crew on all social media at CX Pod Network. Follow me on Twitter at The Wheel Deal and Colton at Colt_45. That's 3 T's, by the way. And Logan, tell people where they can find you.
Logan H_4 on all platforms, unless it's one I don't have. Then don't try and find me.
And thanks to everyone for listening and watching. And until next week, peace move.